You were introduced to me as a VP Darrell Vader Gilbert. Is
Well,
that
the
correct?
my first name is Darrell.
Got it.
The Vader is a nickname that I adopted years ago, and it became a road name. And I have not used Vader as my nickname since I've joined Cross Ministries, but Pastor Lupe
Okay.
thought it was appropriate because it's funny. And so, I mean, that's the kind of sense of humor that he has about it. Not everybody's going to see it that way. And so, you know what? Oh well. So, and I got the name because I was diagnosed with sleep apnea, and so I wear a machine at night that the original machine made an awful lot of noise. It was
Oh boy.
yeah, it was bad.
Got it.
So my wife told the rest of the family that she was sleeping with Darth Vader, and it stuck. It absolutely stuck. I'm sitting in my office. I have one entire bookcase and wall that's dedicated to Darth Vader stuff. Just junk, stuff that I've collected at birthdays and Christmases,
All right. All right.
and a collection of
Very good.
t-shirts, Father of the Year with a Darth Vader logo on it, stuff like that.
Understood. Well, for those that are at home, if you don't mind introducing yourself, that for those that might not know you.
Hi, my name is Darrell. I'm the Vice President of Washington Cross Ministries, and I live in Marysville, which is north of Seattle. For anybody that doesn't know the actual physical location, less than an
Got it.
hour north of Seattle.
Okay, and what county is that in?
That's in Snohomish County.
Okay. All right. Pretty interesting. So I know we spoke a little bit before, but I kind of wanted to take a step back and start right from the beginning. So how did
Absolutely.
you come? Well, let's go further back. How long have you been riding a motorcycle?
I started when I was 7.
Mm.
That's when I borrowed a motorcycle, and that's when I wrecked my first motorcycle. It wasn't mine, but I was hooked.
Mm.
I was hooked after that. And then the second motorcycle that I borrowed, I wrecked it too.
Oh wow.
This time I embedded some gravel into my knees and elbows, and it didn't matter. The pain did not deter me. I wanted a bike. So I bought my first bike when I was 11. It was a beat up Honda Step Through Trail 90. This thing was thoroughly thrashed. Every gasket leaked. The chain wouldn't stay on because the chain tensioners on the back wheel were broken, and so the only way to keep the chain tight was tighten down the axle nut. Everybody knows that only works for a short time, so I was constantly rethreading the chain onto the sprocket. The carburetor leaked. It flooded half the time. It was had to be fixed daily in order to ride it. It was the perfect bike for me because then I learned how to be a motorcycle mechanic at the age of 11 out of
Wow.
necessity. I wanted to ride, so I had to fix it.
That's determination.
Absolutely.
And then, as far as the faith side of things, have you always been a believer? What's been your journey?
I was born and raised in the Methodist Church. We had a group that came to town and spent a weekend with us. They were referred to as a lay witness mission group.
Mm.
I believe they came from the Portland area. And what they did is they traveled around on weekends to different local churches at the church's request. And they had youth in their group, and those youth were very well versed. Very well versed. That was the moment. I was 12 years old when that happened. That was the moment that I accepted Jesus as my Lord and Savior. I had never been asked. Nobody had ever asked me, do you want to accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior? Not only was it asked, it was done by somebody my own age who was very well versed, very in tune with the Spirit.
Mm.
And then I became excited. I caught it caught fire.
Got it. Excellent. And then, so then fast forwarding to the merger, those two things were even before you met Cross, had you already been a part of different motorcycle ministries? What was your experience like before
No
Cross?
motorcycle ministries at all. Never been in a motorcycle club. This is my first trip down the road of motorcycle club regiment, protocols, all of it. So this is all brand new to me. Um, what I had done is when I bought my first Harley, which was over 10 years ago, I joined HOG, which is Harley Owner Group.
Hmm.
I rode with them. Um, it was unsatisfactory
Hmm.
because there is no vetting process to get into HOG. All you have to do is pay your $25 fee, go buy yourself a patch, put it on, and go on down the road.
Oh
And
boy.
so this was a not very well regulated group. And I didn't like it, but I stayed with it. I met some good people, people that I'm still friends with.
Hmm.
Later on, I wanted to join something a little more hardcore. Um, I uh, I had friends that were members of BACA, which is Bikers Against Child Abuse.
Hmm.
I went and checked it out. I liked it. I liked the mission statement of working with children who've been abused. It kind of hits home with me, and I thought, man, this is great. 3.5 years later, I took a hard left turn and left BACA. This was post COVID years. During the COVID years, things were really, really tough. People were freaking out, running around with their hair on fire. And I just, enough is enough, so I left. But I always had this desire to be in a Christian ministry. And I looked, but I could not find a Christian ministry that was north of Seattle of any kind.
Hmm.
And it's not because they don't exist, it's just I didn't know how to find them. I'd been on a lot of different rides and I didn't see any groups represented.
Hmm.
So as I was flipping through Facebook one day, an ad popped up looking for riders in and out of state. It caught my attention. I stared at it and I couldn't let go of it. And I thought God was talking to me in that moment. He was talking to me, and I wasn't completely sure what I needed to do about that.
Hmm.
So I pondered it for 2 days. Then I contacted the phone number that was listed on the flyer and made initial contact with them. That was May 11th of 2023, over 2 years
Hmm.
ago.
Wow.
The following year, after I'd been following them for almost a year, they put up a notice that they were having their 25-year anniversary, and so it was going to be a big celebration. I made the choice to take a trip down to California. Actually, took my bike, but at the request of my family, I trailered it. They didn't want me riding down there by myself. Imagine that. So even though stuff like that doesn't bother me, I'll go. I don't care.
Hmm.
If I die, I die. I had a good life. Yay. Bye. Yeah. And so um, for the sake of keeping the family intact and not letting them catch their hair on fire, I trailered it down there, but I stayed with my brother down in California. He lives 80 miles out of Gilroy, which is where the
Okay.
celebration was going to happen. So
Hmm.
I rode the bike from his house to Gilroy. So I did get some California miles on my bike. And
Nice.
they were absolutely floored that I showed up on the bike. Many people thought that I had rode the bike, and I had to tell them, no, no, no. I trailered it. And um, the funny part about this is that this is a Dyna Wide Glide. It's a 30-year-old bike. It's a Dyna Wide Glide. To give you a little backstory on what a Dyna Wide Glide is, that's an overgrown Sportster.
Hmm.
The Sportster is the small frame. The Dyna Wide Glide is a bigger frame, but it's the same exact design, just
Hmm.
bigger. The
Interesting.
front wheel has an aggressive rake to it, giving it a kind of a chopper look from what I call the California chopper look. It comes stock with 12-inch handlebars, which are called mini ape hangers.
Oh, okay.
And,
Okay.
you don't get into real ape hangers until you get into 14s and 16s. Okay, that's when your hands are up kind of level with your shoulders. That's a real ape hanger. These are mini apes. So these are for children. At any rate, so it's a great looking bike. I love it. I absolutely love the look, the aggressive style in it, but this is not a long distance road bike. I know that. So if I was going to make a long distance road trip, I have to have a plan for how it is I'm going to be sent home, in the back of a truck somewhere, possibly in an ambulance,
Oh boy.
because, this is going to be a rough ride. I've
Mm.
never been on the bike for more than 2 days at a time on a long distance ride.
Mm.
I've done 300 miles in one day and
Oh.
then 150 miles the second day. But that's the most I've had on this bike. This bike is not built for long distance touring. It's not a touring frame, but I love it anyway.
Got it. Very good. All right. So you make it to Gilroy. You
I
show
made it
up.
to
They think,
Gilroy. I
yeah.
met I met everybody from Cross Ministries that showed up. I met all of Pastor Lupe's children. I met many great people from the community that support Cross Ministries. These people became my friends immediately. They welcomed me in, open arms. They actually like me, which is unusual. But and so then after the celebration was over, I rode home. I was tired, but I made it all the way home to my brother's house. Slept the night off. Left the next day to go home. So it was a wonderful experience. 3 weeks later, Cross Ministries had already made the plan to ride up to Washington because we had 5 people on our list that wanted to join. The problem was is that they were spread out throughout the state. We were not co-located all together. We were spread out. People down near Portland, people out near Spokane, just Kennewick area, just all over. Nobody was within any less than a 2 hour ride from each other. That was
Yeah.
the shortest distance guy. That was the closest one. And so
Sheesh.
when it came time to sign up, nobody wanted to sign up. They all dropped out. But Cross had already made their decision to come up to Washington anyway. At the time, I had a guy that was interested in joining. He was a buddy of mine from work, and he later did join. He became our first prospect, but
Nice.
he was not able to make the ride on the first day or the second day. He has a rule in his house where he's not allowed to ride in the rain.
It's not a bad rule.
It's not a bad rule. I'm not going to scoff at it, but that's the way his wife said. Okay, if you can ride, just no rain. So he missed all the riding, but got to meet the Cross family before they left to go back to California to be in the dry state and dry out their leathers. I
That's
felt
right.
bad for him. This was a rough ride. They came down in May. They asked me when's the best time to come down. I said mid-July, August. They come down the worst month of the year. Memorial weekend typically rains, typical.
Interesting.
And I rode over the pass to meet them. I rode about 170 miles over the pass to meet them in eastern Washington to guide them back through the Seattle area. So I got to ride in the pack
Nice.
right up front. Oh, that was so cool. That was so cool. And it was, to tell you the truth, it was kind of nerve wracking. Club style riding is handlebar to handlebar, close proximity. You're going a little faster than the speed limit because it's actually safer in a large group like that to go faster than the speed limit. That way, cars are not passing you, you're passing them, and you're in the fast lane or you're in a carpool lane, as it were. It's actually safer. Um, as a club, we decided that we're not going to ride more than 5 miles an hour faster than the posted speed limit. And so what we do in that case, and we're a small group, what we do in that case, if we think we're going to hold up traffic, we move over. That puts us in the middle lane. And that's a very vulnerable spot to be when you're on the freeway and on a bike. It's just that when you're in a small group, you have a big presence because up front you have two headlights. Back behind there, you might have two more. And so you have a bigger presence as a biker, but you're still in a very vulnerable position being in the center lane. Slow lane, man, that's almost a no-go for bikes.
Mhm.
That's the lane where people are merging, coming on, leaving. Yeah, it's bad. So we typically ride in the fast lane or the carpool lane, and that's the style. And so that was my very first time riding with the group. I was riding right next to the national road captain, and his bike is built for the racetrack, and so it doesn't even idle right. We're
Interesting.
cruising, we're cruising at 80 miles an hour, and every 5 seconds his bike would lurch.
Whoa.
It would just jump because of the cam that it has in there. It has a rhythm. Engines have a rhythm, and it would get into that rhythm, and it would hit that power, and it would just go bang. It would shoot 3 feet ahead of me, and then he'd slow down, and then he'd shoot out there. It was just doing that. I've
Wow.
never experienced anything like this. This was just wild, and not to mention we were doing this in the rain. So
Hardcore.
this was an interesting commute. But anyway, we had a good time. We went for a nice ride the next day. They all wanted to go across the Puget Sound on a ferry. That was the big deal. Never been on a ferry.
Mm.
I've been on the ferry so many times, it's not a big deal to me. I
Yeah.
don't look forward to it. It's not a thing that I look forward to. Okay. But if you've never been on a ferry, this is such an exciting deal to you. Okay. I get it. It's just like being the owner of a fishing boat, taking a bunch of newbies out to go catch a salmon. They're excited. You're not.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just your backyard, that's all.
It's 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 just an everyday thing. So that's and then they really enjoyed um, my company. It was shortly after that we talked about me joining as an individual since I didn't have the support of 5 people. We talked about that. Nothing was decided at that time. Um, I made the decision to go ahead and send in my full application and full fees. And what they did is they got together and talked about it and then sent me a full patch set as a vice president. So, first time being in a motorcycle club, I'm all by myself. I was the vice president. Yay. I didn't go to class for this. I've had to learn a lot of stuff and it's been tricky. It's not easy. My the guy that wanted to join that was my work friend. He would accompany me to rides and events so that I didn't go alone. That way, I had somebody there with me, and I gave him a name tag that would let people know that he was a hang around. So that's how we got away with that.
Got it.
But we went to some great events. We met some great people. Um, Later on, I was contacted by Pastor Lupe. He told me that there was 2 people in Washington that were interested in joining Cross Ministries. Turns out they're
Mm.
in my backyard.
Nice.
They both live within, I don't know, less than 10 minutes from where I live, unless traffic is just absolutely horrible. That's how close they are. So we're talking less than 5 miles each from where I live.
Wow.
And we call them patch overs because they had been full patch members from Warriors of Faith. And so we got permission to go ahead and do what's called a patch over. So they never had to spend any time as a prospect And so this is a courtesy that's afforded to people who are full patch members of other clubs. And there's a process. There's actually a process. You're supposed to hang on to your old patches until you receive your new patches. Then you take off your old patches, send them back to the club where they belong because each club owns their own patches. And so you send your patches back, and then now you are a full patch member of Cross Ministries. Unfortunately, we lost the prospect. He ended up in a family situation that was not conducive for club life. His bike was not conducive for club life, and it was just not suitable. His situation was not suitable, and he hung out with us for 3 or 4 months, and then said, "Okay, I'm not able to do this right now." So he dropped out. So right now we're running 3 full patch members.
Mm, all right. Very good. So you come into to Cross, and you said it's been about 2 years now.
Mhm.
And so what's some of the have you had the chance to uh, what are some of the events you've taken part of, or what experiences have you had since then?
We've been able to meet with all the biggest players in Washington State this year.
Mm,
Um, Myself and Pastor Freddie, as we call him, went to the very first event of the year. It was a swap meet,
mm,
and at the swap meet, we met presidents, sergeant at arms, secretaries uh, from all the major bike groups in the state. When you talk about levels of hierarchy, Cross Ministries now claims territory. And so even though there's only 3 of us, we claim the whole state, which is, I don't know, I guess that feels odd to me. Uh, Honestly, I mean,
Is there?
that's a little out of the box, but we've met with the top people from every single group. We've been blessed. We've been given permission to do this. This is exciting times. They love us. They
Nice.
embraced it. I got to meet the individual who approved our ability to open in Washington. So I not only met the president of the Seattle club, but I met the individual, we all did, that gave us permission to open in Washington State. Amazing stuff. And it's like you have these preconceived notions about people that are 1%ers. They call themselves outlaws. But these people are professionals. These guys are well groomed. They carry themselves well. They might even own their own businesses. You don't know. This guy could be a bank exec for all I know. You don't know. The president for the Seattle club, very well groomed. The guy that gave us permission to open, very professional looking, very well groomed. And so it's like this is not your typical stereotypical 1960s outlaw motorcycle groups anymore. These guys are legit. These people have
Interesting.
jobs. And so it was just interesting. And they
Yeah.
also have families. And so the difference is that they're at the top of the food chain, as we call it,
Mm.
for motorcycle clubs. And we give them a lot of respect. And
Now, my question would be, when you met them, was there any carryover reputation from what Cross has done in California? Did they how was there some familiarity with Cross already, or were they kind of meeting? Were they discovering Cross for the first time?
they knew all about us. They knew us. My guess is they've visited my Facebook page, looked at my address from Google Air. Okay. I'm just guessing. All right. Because these people are actually very sophisticated. And I was very impressed with them as a group. Not saying I want to join them. My party days are have been in the bag for a long time. I had to leave them behind in favor of good health and conscience. So, but I thoroughly enjoyed my visits with everybody. And we've been invited places that I'm pretty sure other motorcycle clubs don't get invited to. So here we are, three strong, being embraced.
Yeah. A lot of
Yeah.
doors opening. You never know what the future holds, right? Who else
I
make
did not anticipate any of this. How could I?
Now, do you ever get any questions from the public? Maybe you're out on a ride and any questions? Oh, who is cross? What is cross? Does it ever kind of elicit any impromptu conversations like that?
Yeah, my favorite one was I was held up by a drawbridge. I
Hmm.
was on the bike. I was headed into Everett from Marysville. I was headed south on a side road that has a drawbridge. The drawbridge was open so that a boat could come through. And so here we are. We're stopped. Everybody's engines are turned off. The guy behind me gets out of his car, and I see that in my rearview mirror. Here he comes, and he starts up a conversation with me. Hands me a card telling me who he is and what church he belongs to, and invites me to his church. We had a great conversation. We had an absolutely phenomenal conversation. Unfortunately, his church meets at the same time that ours does,
Hmm.
and I'm a Sunday school teacher, and so
Oh, nice.
I'm on task. I'm busy on Sunday, so I mean that would be nice to be able to go, but for now it's just not in the it's not in work.
So ever since joining Cross, have you had have they made their way back up there since then, or have you crossed paths with
No, no.
not since?
We we got together very, very late in the season this year. Pastor Freddie joined just before the swap meet.
Hmm.
He had just become a full patch member before the swap meet. His close personal friend Tony joined later, and so um, as of yet, we still don't even have all of our patches that we ordered. That's how new we are.
Uh,
Okay, we're like fresh out of the dryer. Okay, we haven't found all the socks yet. Okay, we're sorting things out. We haven't found all the socks. We don't know what happened to that shirt that we wore last week. Okay, think this is disarray. It's organized chaos,
got it.
and so this
Work
is
in
where
progress.
yes, completely work in progress. And so that's how new we are. We're fresh. This is our breakout year. Um, there's been opportunities to witness people on what I call the short scale. Okay, we don't go out into the community and hold up a podium where we're get on our soapbox. Hold on a second there, Mike.
Sure, no problem.
I got to turn off the alarm on my phone. Pesky little thing. At any rate, so we don't go out and do what's called um, a ministry. We don't set up in the we don't preach in the streets. What we are is we look for opportunities to serve. We offer up our presence, our prayers, and our support. What I have witnessed is prayers that are offered just on the spot for traveling mercies to other bikers, just on the spot,
Yeah.
just offered up, just bang like that, without even thinking about it. This is what we're doing. The first time I saw that was with Pastor Lupe. They came up to Washington, and we were getting ready to leave on our ride Saturday to go out to catch our ferry. And there was two bikers that were staying in the same motel where they were at, and he went over there, started up a conversation, and offered them a prayer for traveling mercies and safety. You don't think that made an impact on those two writers? They're probably still talking about that. I have no idea where they were from. They were probably just passing through. But you see, when you impact people like that, you don't know what the return is going to be. That could be a guy that is close enough that he's all of a sudden he's interested in becoming as you are because of what you have done. And that's what we're all about. We use the law of attraction to bring people in through service and prayer and just being who we are in that moment to people. And what's
Yeah,
interesting about what's interesting about Cross is that it's not just the men. Typically in an MC world, it's just guys.
mm-hmm.
Many of your hardcore MC clubs, no women allowed. The only women that are allowed in the clubhouse are the women who belong to one of the members, whether it's a wife, girlfriend, or just somebody they picked up for the afternoon to go to the clubhouse. Doesn't matter what the reason is, they are there with that member. And so they do not hold a patch, they don't hold a position in the club. And so if a woman wants to have her own motorcycle club, they have to open it as a separate club. And it's a women's only club at that point.
Interesting.
And they do exist. They do exist. I met quite a few of them at some of the local events that we have up here. And so the women's job in Cross Ministries is that they do what's called compassionate service. They approach other women. They approach children. They provide those services to the community. We don't have any women in our group up here, but down in California, they've got a full deck. They have all positions filled and extras. And it's not very surprising that a lot of these women ride their bikes. Mm-hmm. That's not even a shock to me. Two of them came up on their own bikes. The spouse of the national road captain rode on his bike behind him. There was two women that rode in the pack as passengers, and but they have a big impact on Cross Ministries. They handle things like merchandising. They handle things like the business cards that I have. One of the gals handles all the ordering for business cards. They handle food. They handle arrangements. If tables are needed, they make sure that they know where all these resources are. They organize all this. Guys are the muscles. Women are the brains.
And I'm sure they'd agree.
Totally. And it's totally evident. And they're totally committed. These are wonderful people. This is a family.
Yeah, I agree. That's a beautiful and profound approach. Mm-hmm. It changes the atmosphere of the club.
It does. It really if you behave like a beautiful, big, dysfunctional family, because there's going to be disagreements. But if you can come back together and make agreements to do better in enough areas to where you can be cohesive again, then you're okay. And it's just like any other organization or group that you'll ever be in. People come and go. When I was in Bikers Against Child Abuse, the average person stayed no more than 5 years. I met people that had been in there for over 10. I met people that had been with BACA for 25 years. They were at the national level. I met some of the national level people. And so they'd been with BACA for, maybe half of their life. So you've got long-term people and you've got short-term people because everybody's situation changes. And so you have to be adaptable and be able to move with the change.
Yeah, yeah, very good. Maybe taking a step back in terms of ministry. So I don't know if you have ever encountered this, but there are, of course, the body of Christ is very large, and there are some who kind of stay more in the four walls. And not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but there's some who might have a hard time imagining the type of ministry that Cross is in general, even here in California or in Washington. It would feel very foreign to someone who may feel that way or just be unfamiliar with the ministry as you've experienced it thus far. What would you say to them about your experiences, or maybe appealing to why this is such a necessary part of the body as this approach with Cross?
Christ himself challenged us. Get outside your comfort zone. Leave yourself. Leave who you are and become a disciple. It's a big call. It's a big call. It's scary. Some people don't like motorcycles. Some people are afraid of the crowd element that they might encounter on any particular ride. A lot of the rides meet at local saloons and taverns, and you take off as a group from there. So there's going to be a whole bunch of people outside smoking cigarettes. They could be drinking. Uh, we don't judge. I personally don't like cigarettes, and so I steer clear of anybody who's partaking in such a deal. But that's the element that you're going to encounter on these events and rides. You're going to meet people from all walks of life. There is no room in your life for fear, because whatever fear you have, it displaces your faith. The more fear you have, the less faith you have.
That's right.
And you get one shot at this life. This is it. This is all you get. This is not a dress rehearsal for the real thing. This is the real thing. And it is a test. This whole thing is a test. We're being tested. You're going to be judged. That's what our belief system is. We're going to be judged by what we do, not just what we believe, by what we do. So, what are you doing? Are you doing anything at all? Or do you go to church, listen to whatever it is that the speaker has to say, study your scriptures, do your prayers, and then do nothing about it? Is that what you do? That's not what Christ is asking us to do. He's asking us to get outside of our comfort zone and go talk to people. And you don't have to chase them down in order to have a conversation. You don't have to annoy people in order to introduce Christ. You don't. It's really simple. Somebody could ask you how your day is. You could say something to the tune of, God has provided us a beautiful day. Everything's right with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I mean, that's a little heavy. I've never actually introduced myself that way. Normally, I like to get to know a person just a little bit before I throw down a one-liner. And I actually like to get to know people to find out what it is that they're willing to hear. Typically, the best way to reach somebody is through service. What can I do for you? Do you need prayer? Do you need a hug? You want me to point out a good chapter for you to read? I carry in my phone a picture of emergency scriptures. So for whatever your situation is, whatever distress you're in, there's a scripture for that. Whatever the situation is. And so when people are in trouble, I can turn to that. But that's being prepared. I was at a local fair in Marysville, and I was approached by four young people who wanted to know if I thought that I was a good person. Fair question. I told them absolutely not. I am not a good person. I am a flawed individual. And that's what I said, I'm a heavily flawed individual. I said, I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. And every day I wake up with the hope that I will do everything perfect, and I don't. I have a harsh outlook on life. I was in the military 20 years. I put up with a lot of people who were incompetent to hold the position that they had as their title. I've had to put up with all kinds of what I call regular human garbage that is just life. This is life. This is where we're at. And so we had a great conversation, and they shared with me a book that covers all the basic topics about who is God, where did we come from, where are we going, what happens after death, all these. And it's like there's 12 major points that this little booklet had in it. I thought, wow, this is actually kind of cool. What a great idea. You just have this, and when you start up a conversation, you find out somebody's got a little bit of interest in what you're doing, you hand them that booklet. And then maybe you hand them that booklet and there's information on the back about how they can get into contact with you to find out more. What a great deal.
Great points. Great points. Now, let's say if someone were to be watching this right now, just so happens maybe they even live in Washington, and maybe they live in your backyard in that 5 mile range you talked about. If someone is interested, especially in that area, what would you encourage? Not just the steps or the process, but what would be your words of experience or wisdom be to them? Anyone that would be considering joining something such as Cross.
You're going to be tested. And if you are able to stand up to that test, you're going to be challenged. You're going to be asked to do things that perhaps maybe you don't really feel like doing. You might ride in conditions that perhaps you're uncomfortable in, but you're doing it because you're supporting an event that's important. You have to be tough. That's the reason why there's a prospecting process. You come in as a hang around, you find out if the people that are already there that are full patch members or maybe some of the other prospects. Oh my word. Why do I have so many alarms on my phone? Anyway, so are you actually, do you have the ability to deliver? If you don't have your faith and you want to grow your faith, this might not be the best calling for you. You need to be a little more accomplished than that. This is a tough deal. A lot of people come in, find out they can't hang with the program, and they leave. They don't make it to a full patch because it's hard. It takes work. It's commitment. You have to kind of check your ego at the door, as I used to call it. You got to leave that behind because it takes real commitment. This is a brotherhood. This is a sisterhood. And you have to be committed to each other. If you're not committed to each other, it tears the group apart. One person can cause so much damage by having a terrible attitude, by having just a horrible outlook. a constant problem,
Hmm.
unwilling to make any kind of concessions at all. Very negative, very negative, and it hurts the whole group. But if you can humble yourself, if you can humble yourself and follow the example of Christ, one of the best examples of humbling yourself was when Christ
Yeah.
washed the feet of his disciples. How did he treat um, how did he treat his disciples before he was crucified?
Hmm.
He knew he was going to be betrayed. What was his reaction? He knew that he was going to be betrayed for pieces of silver. He knew that. He also knew what would come later. And what did he do? He washed their feet. That's the attitude that you have to have. You have to be very resilient. If you're not resilient, you're going to be trouble.
Yeah, that's all too common nowadays, isn't it?
You have to act as a group, and there's always going to be what I would call um, differences of opinion. Some of them are going to be strong enough to where it's going to cause a rift. It doesn't matter what position you hold. You could be in my position as VP and be the absolute worst. And here you are. Now what do you do? See, in the normal dynamics of the motorcycle world, people are voted into their positions. The unique thing about what I do is I was never voted in by anybody up here in Washington. I keep that in mind. Every time I approach my members, I keep that in mind. I was not voted in by them. They didn't choose me, other than they chose to be with me. They chose that. Now, what are you going to do with it? It's tough. It takes a lot. It really does. It takes a lot of moving
Yep.
parts.
Yeah, when I spoke with Pastor Lupe recently as well, he mirrored that sentiment, to make sure it's better to, if you're going to approach something like this, to be certain and to be ready for a commitment and make sure that the elements in one's life is aligned to what's going to be asked of them.
Yeah. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to empty the trash, as I call it.
That's good.
If you're not willing to empty the trash, then you're not a good fit.
As we reach the end here, I always like to ask: is anything that we may not have touched on that someone watching this you'd want to impart or share, or just any last thoughts that come to mind?
Not really. I think I've covered because
We did.
we're very new. We're very new. We're still feeling our way through this. And so as
We touched
time
on some
goes
good
on,
points.
as time goes on, there'll be more to talk about, more experiences. We haven't even finished a full year. I haven't finished a full year as a patched member. Fair
Yep,
enough?
yep. That's right. Mhm.
Yeah, I've still got the smell of new leather on me. So, you know, I still got the formaldehyde smell. And that's the way it is. Things will evolve, things will change. More people, we're hoping to attract more people into cross ministries because you cannot believe how it impacts your own life when you have those moments. When you have those moments where you know that you've made contact. and you've made an impact, a positive impact. One of the things that happened on one of our rides, which I thought was just phenomenal, we had stopped. We'd gone up to the Skagit Valley. We were touring the tulip fields, and there's a produce stand up there that sells the absolute best ice cream cone you've ever seen in your life. Now you better pack your wallet because it's going to cost you some money. They give you a scoop of ice cream that's the size of a softball, and I'm not talking junior league. Okay, this is a big
All right.
scoop in a cone that takes you a week to eat it. This is a destination. We stopped, we were in line, we're waiting, and one of the guys behind me that's one of our patch members started up a conversation with a couple that was standing behind us in line. It just so happens that she was a writer and had published a book on Christianity.
Wow.
After she got her ice cream, she went back to her car, grabbed 3 copies of her book, and handed it to each one of us. And it's all about her walk of faith. Really good book. Really good book. And so those are some of the experiences that you cannot get sitting on the couch. You have to get out there.
It's pretty fun. Connection is so important in
It is.
faith, isn't that?
And it's worth it. It's worth it when you get out there and you have those experiences.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Darrell, for speaking with me. What I'm going to have to do is hopefully before too long, number one, hopefully I'll run into you at some event or another. We're close to Pastor Lupe over here. So hopefully before too long, we might be able to meet in person somehow, some way. But two, maybe check in again within, if not 6 months of the year, see how everything's going. So we won't
You
be
never know.
strangers. Well, yep,
You
you
do
never
not
know.
know. Yeah, we don't know what tomorrow's not guaranteed.
That's right.
I tell people I've gotten to the age where I do not buy green bananas. I have no idea how this is going to turn out. Okay?
That's good.
That banana has to be ready to eat today.
That's
All
good.
right.
I can remember that one.
It's good
All
talking
right.
to you.
Good talking to you as well.
All right. We'll talk
Have a
to you
good one.
again. All right. Bye-bye.